The day my grandfather died, the house didn't feel like a house anymore. It felt like a museum where time had stopped. Every clock sounded louder. Every step echoed longer. Even the air felt heavier, like it was holding its breath. People came and went, bringing food, fake sympathy, and whispered conversations. They talked about Grandpa like he was already a memory. But for me, he was still everywhere. In the smell of old books. In the creak of the stairs. In the way the light hit the window at sunset, just like when he used to sit there, drinking tea, pretending not to watch me grow up. Grandpa was the only person who ever saw me clearly. Not as a child. Not as a responsibility. As a person. And that's why, a week before he died, he called me into his room. The last gift.
He was smaller in the bed.
Weaker. But his eyes were sharp. Still full of secrets. "Hazel," he whispered, reaching for my hand. I sat beside him. He looked around the room, making sure no one was there. Then, he slipped something into my palm. It was small, cold,
Old.
a passbook. The cover was brown leather, cracked at the edges. The pages were yellow, like they had lived too long.
"Keep this safe," he said.
"Do not show your mother." My stomach twisted. "Why?" I asked. He smiled, not kindly but knowingly. "Because some people don't like the truth." Before I could ask more, he squeezed my hand. "Your future is written there, Hazel." And then he closed his eyes. That was the last thing he ever said to me. The house after death. After the funeral, everything changed. My mother didn't cry. She cleaned. She organized. She threw things away like she was erasing him piece by piece. Boxes.
Clothes. Books.
Junk, she kept saying. I followed her from room to room, my chest tight. When she reached Grandpa's old drawer, my heart started racing. She pulled it open. And there it was. The passbook. I froze. She picked it up, flipping through the pages. Her face changed. Just for a second. Fear. Then anger. "What is this?" she snapped. "Grandpa gave it to me," I said quietly. She laughed. A sharp, ugly sound. "Lies," she said. "He had nothing. Nothing." And then she threw it in the trash. Just like that. Like it meant nothing. Something broke inside me. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just watched her tie the trash bag and drag it to the bin. That night, I couldn't sleep. Grandpa's voice kept repeating in my head. "Your future is written there." At 2 a.m., I got up. I went outside. And I dug through the trash. The passbook returns. It was dirty. Smelled awful. But when I held it, my hands stopped shaking. I wiped it clean and opened it under the porch light. Rows of numbers.
Dates.
Signatures. And, at the bottom of the last page, a stamp from a bank I had never heard of. The next morning, I hid the passbook in my bag. I didn't know what it meant yet. But I knew one thing. My mother didn't want me to find out. And that meant it mattered. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Not my mother. Not my aunt. Not even myself, really. I just knew that passbook was pulling me somewhere. Like it had waited long enough. The bank was old. Not the kind with glass walls and coffee machines. This one smelled like paper, dust, and secrets. A brass sign hung crooked above the door. Harrison and Company. Savings Bank. The name from the stamp. I stepped inside and felt every sound disappear. The room went quiet. Not empty, quiet. The kind of quiet that happens when something unexpected walks in. I stood in line, clutching the passbook so tight my fingers hurt. When it was my turn, I slid it across the counter. The teller looked at it, then froze. Her smile disappeared. She didn't say a word. She just stood up and walked away. That's when I knew. This was never just a book. She came back with a man in a gray suit. Older.
Calm.
Eyes sharp like Grandpa's. "Where did you get this?" he asked softly. "My grandfather," I said. His face changed. Not shocked. Relieved. "Please come with me," he said. And the bank went silent again. We walked into a small office. He closed the door carefully. Then he opened the passbook like it was sacred. This account was opened 37 years ago, he said. My heart stopped. He looked at me. And it was never meant for your mother. I swallowed. What do you mean? He smiled sadly. It means your grandfather kept his promise. He turned the book around. And there, in blue ink, was my name. The moment I saw my name written inside that passbook, the world tilted. Not dramatically. Not loudly. Just enough to make me realize nothing was where I thought it was. I stared at the blue ink. My name. My full name. Spelled perfectly. Like it had been waiting for me my whole life. This can't be right, I whispered. The bank manager closed the passbook gently. It's very right, he said. And it's the reason your grandfather asked me to remember you. The account no one was supposed to touch. He leaned back in his chair, folding his hands like a man opening a story he had kept sealed for decades. Your grandfather came here 37 years ago, he began. He wasn't a rich man, but he was a careful one. He told me how Grandpa deposited small amounts, cash, coins, even checks from odd jobs. Every month. Every year. Never missed one. He told us to never release this account to anyone, the manager said, unless they brought this passbook and spoke your name. My throat tightened. And when your mother came here, he continued slowly, we turned her away. My heart slammed. She came here? I asked. He nodded. 15 years ago. She tried to close it. The lie I had lived with. My hands shook. All those years my mother had said Grandpa had nothing, that we were poor, that there was nothing to inherit. It had all been a lie. She was furious, the manager said. She threatened us, yelled, cried. But the account was locked. He pointed to the signature line. Only you. My chest hurt. Not from excitement. From betrayal. The final instruction. The manager opened a drawer. Pulled out an envelope. Yellowed. Sealed. This was meant for you, he said. Your grandfather left it with us. I opened it slowly. My hands felt too small. Inside was a letter. Hazel, if you're reading this, it means I was right not to trust them. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. But I wanted you to have a life they could never take from you. I cried. Right there. In the bank office. Because for the first time, someone had chosen me first. I didn't go home right away. I couldn't. My legs felt weak, like they didn't trust the ground anymore. I sat on a bench outside the bank for almost an hour, holding that envelope like it was fragile glass. Grandpa's handwriting blurred in front of my eyes again and again, but the words stayed burned into me. I wanted you to have a life they could never take from you. All those years. All those arguments. All those nights my mother told me we had nothing. It was all a lie. And lies don't disappear when you discover them. They fight back. The first call. My phone buzzed. Mom. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. And again. Then a message. Where are you? We need to talk. Now. My heart pounded. Not fear. Not guilt. Something new. Strength. I finally stood up and started walking. I wasn't running anymore. The house felt smaller. When I reached home, the house felt different. Smaller. Like it was shrinking around the truth. My mother was waiting in the living room, arms crossed, eyes sharp. You went to the bank, she said. Not a question. A statement. My stomach dropped. How do you know? I asked. She laughed, but it sounded cracked. Because they called me, she snapped. They always call me. I looked at her. No, they don't. Her face went pale. The mask slips. Where is it? She demanded. I didn't move. Where's the passbook, Hazel? I took a deep breath. And for the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. It's mine, I said quietly. The room went silent. Then she exploded. You have no idea what you're doing, she screamed. That money is not yours. I held her gaze. It has my name. She stepped back like I had slapped her. For a moment I saw it. Fear. Raw. Ugly. The truth comes out. She sat down slowly. Her voice changed. Soft. Dangerous. You don't understand, she whispered. That money was supposed to fix everything. Fix what? I asked. She looked away. Your grandfather was weak, she said. He let people walk over him. I was protecting this family. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was insane. You tried to steal from your own father, I said. Her eyes filled with tears. Angry tears. He owed me, she yelled. And there it was. The truth bleeding out. The door slams. I walked past her. She grabbed my arm.
Hard.
Don't you dare, she hissed. I pulled away. Let go of me. She didn't. So, I did something I had never done before. I pushed her hand away and walked out. That was the moment I knew. This wasn't about money. This was about control. And she had just lost it. The night everything changed. I stayed at a friend's house that night. I couldn't sleep. My phone filled with messages. Anger. Begging.
Threats.
Then silence. The most dangerous kind. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed again. A new message. From the bank manager. Be careful. Your mother has contacted a lawyer. My chest tightened. But this time, I didn't panic. I smiled. Because Grandpa had prepared for this too. People think lawsuits are loud. They imagine courtrooms, shouting, drama. The truth is worse. They are quiet.
Slow.
And they turn families into strangers one paper at a time. The letter. It arrived in a white envelope. No stamp. Hand-delivered. My mother's handwriting on the front. My hands shook as I opened it. A legal notice. She was claiming the account. Claiming I had manipulated Grandpa. Claiming I had stolen from her. I laughed. Out loud. Because lies sound ridiculous when they're written down. The lawyer Grandpa chose. The bank manager didn't hesitate. He gave me a name. Call him, he said. Your grandfather trusted him more than anyone. I did. And when the lawyer answered, his first words were, I've been waiting for you, Hazel. He pulled out files. Decades old.
Signed.
Witnessed. Stamped. Every lie my mother could tell had already been defeated. Family turns. The calls started.
Aunts.
Uncles. Cousins. Why are you doing this? She's your mother. Just give it back. I listened. And for the first time, I said no. The desperation. My mother showed up at my door.
Crying.
Begging. Threatening. Then quiet. You'll regret this, she whispered. But I didn't believe her anymore.
Court day.
She never looked at me. Not once. But when the judge read the documents, her face collapsed. The truth won. I walked out of that building lighter than I had ever been. Not because I had won, but because I had stopped losing myself. The verdict didn't end the war. It ended the illusion. People think winning a case means celebration. But I didn't celebrate. I went home and sat on the floor, and I cried. Not because I was sad, but because something had finally died. The hope that my mother would ever choose me.
The fall.
News travels fast in small families. By morning, everyone knew. My mother stopped answering calls. My aunt stopped visiting. The house that once felt crowded with noise went empty. My mother blamed me. Loudly. To anyone who would listen. She stole from me, she said. But people had seen the documents. Truth is stubborn. It doesn't care who you are. The sister I lost. My sister came to see me once. She looked tired. Not angry. Just lost. She's not eating, she whispered. I nodded. I know.
I didn't ask about her.
Because I couldn't save anyone anymore. The final fight. One night, my mother showed up drunk. Screaming.
Crying.
Blaming. Then she said the words that finally freed me. I wish you were never born. And suddenly, I felt nothing. No pain. No anger. Just clarity. I closed the door. And I locked it. The quiet after. Silence followed. Weeks passed. Then months. I moved. Changed my number. Started over. And for the first time, the quiet didn't hurt. It healed. The first thing I learned after everything ended was how to breathe again. Not the shallow breathing I had done my whole life. Careful, quiet, afraid. But deep, full breaths that filled my chest and stayed there. like I finally had space. Learning silence. I moved into a small apartment on the other side of the city. No memories. No echoes. Just white walls and sunlight. At first, the silence was unbearable. I kept expecting shouting, footsteps, accusations, but none came. And slowly, silence became my friend. The money I didn't touch. I didn't touch the money for months. Not because I was scared, because I wanted to know who I was without it. I worked. I cooked. I paid rent like a normal person. And every time I felt proud, I thought of Grandpa. He didn't give me wealth. He gave me choice. The letter I finally read. One afternoon, I opened the second envelope Grandpa had left. Inside was a single sentence. Freedom is not money, Hazel. It's the courage to leave. I cried for an hour, becoming someone new. I went back to school. I traveled. I helped myself. I helped others. And every night, I slept without fear. The legacy. 1 year later, I visited Grandpa's grave. I'm free, I whispered. And I knew he had succeeded. Healing isn't a straight line. It loops back. It tests you. It asks if you're sure. And just when you think you're done with the past, it knocks again. It was a normal Tuesday when I saw her. My mother, standing outside the cafe where I worked. Older, smaller, like life had finally taken something from her too. For a moment, I considered walking away. But something inside me whispered, this is it. The meeting I didn't plan.
She followed me in.
Sat down without asking. I didn't know where else to go, she said. Her voice wasn't sharp anymore. It was tired. I said nothing. I lost everything, she whispered. Your sister won't talk to me. The family avoids me. I don't even know who I am anymore. I stirred my coffee slowly. That's not my fault, I said. And for the first time in my life, I meant it. The truth, finally spoken. She looked at me with red eyes.
I was scared, she said.
Your grandfather never trusted me. And I hated him for that. I nodded. He was right. Her face crumbled. Forgiveness without return.
I'm sorry, she said.
2 words.
Late.
Heavy. I felt them hit the table between us. But I didn't pick them up. I forgive you, I said. But I won't come back. She nodded. And for the first time, she didn't argue. The full circle. That evening, I went to the bank. Not for money. For closure. I closed the passbook. And walked out without looking back. The final release. That night, I slept like a child. No dreams. No fear. Just rest. Because the past had finally lost its voice. People think the story ends when the villain disappears. But that's a lie. Real endings don't happen when someone else loses. They happen when you finally stop fighting. After the cafe meeting, I expected to feel something big. Relief. Anger.
Victory.
But I felt calm. The kind of calm that only comes when something ancient finally lets go of you. For the first time since I was a child, my mind was quiet. No voices. No echoes. No fear. Just me. The morning after. The next morning, sunlight filled my apartment like it had been invited. I made coffee and stood by the window, watching people hurry to lives I would never know. And for the first time, I didn't envy anyone. Because I had something better. I had choice. The money finds its purpose. I finally touched the account. Not to spend, but to decide. I sat with spreadsheets, papers, and Grandpa's letters spread around me like pieces of a puzzle. This wasn't money meant for luxury. This was money meant for escape. For new beginnings. For people like me. I created a small fund. Quiet. Anonymous. For young people trying to leave unsafe homes. I didn't put my name on it. I put Grandpa's. The first girl. Her name was Lily. She was 19. And terrified. When I handed her the envelope, she cried the same way I once did. And that's when I understood. This was the inheritance. Not the money. The freedom. The family that wasn't. Months passed. I heard things. My mother moved away. My sister started therapy. My aunt stopped calling. And for the first time, I didn't chase anyone. I let them go. The life I chose. I went back to school. I traveled. I laughed. I made friends who didn't know my past. I learned who I was without survival mode. And I liked her. Grandpa's final gift. On the anniversary of his death, I visited his grave again. I sat on the grass and told him everything. "I'm okay," I whispered. "I made it." And for the first time, I believed it. The ending that wasn't loud. There was no final confrontation, no apology tour, no reunion, just a quiet life built with intention. And that was more powerful than any revenge. Because the truth is, the passbook wasn't buried to hide money. It was buried to protect me. And now, I protect others. Some stories end with revenge. Mine ended with peace. And peace is louder than anger ever was. The last morning of the old life. The day I closed the account, I woke up before the sun. The apartment was silent, wrapped in that soft blue light that exists only for a few minutes each morning. I made tea. I sat on the floor. And I opened the passbook one last time. The pages were worn. The ink slightly faded. But the name was still there. Mine. I ran my fingers over it and smiled. "Thank you," I whispered. Then I closed it. Not because it was over, but because it had become a part of me. What healing really looks like. Healing isn't fireworks. It's not dramatic. It's choosing calm over chaos again and again until calm becomes natural. I stopped checking my phone every hour. I stopped bracing for bad news. I stopped expecting people to hurt me. And slowly, my body forgot how to be afraid. The call I didn't expect. One evening, months later, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but I did. It was my sister. Her voice was softer than I remembered. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said, "for leaving." I didn't understand. "If you hadn't," she continued, "I would have never realized how sick everything was." We talked for an hour. Not about the past, about the future. And when we hung up, it felt complete. The fund grows. The fund grew quietly. No headlines. No praise. Just people leaving bad places. Finding safe ones. Every letter I received reminded me of Grandpa.
His hands. His eyes.
His silence. He knew. He always knew. The bank manager's visit. One afternoon, the bank manager came by the cafe. He was older now, slower, but his smile was the same. "I thought you'd like to know," he said. "Your grandfather would be proud." I nodded. "I know. The grave one last time. I visited Grandpa's grave at sunset. The air was warm. The world felt still. I didn't just survive, I told him. I lived. And for the first time, I felt like I was talking to someone who could hear me. The lesson. Here's what I learned. Family doesn't get to hurt you just because they're family. Money doesn't fix pain. Silence can be strength. And sometimes, the greatest inheritance is the courage to walk away. The final goodbye. I left flowers. I walked away. And I didn't look back. Because I didn't need to anymore. OUTRO. Message to the listener. If you're listening to this and holding on to something painful, let it go. If you're afraid to leave, leave anyway. If you think it's too late, it's not. Because some gifts are buried not to hide them, but to protect the person who will one day be strong enough to find them. And when you do, don't just open the passbook. Open your life.